Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael. For today's show, we're going to be talking about the overreactions from that abysmal, god-awful, and disgrace of the display of the sport of football, because that game yesterday was atrocious. We have a lot to discuss. I have very opinionated things I want to talk about today. But before we get that, let's sub for some dubs. Let's get the mojo back in the Saints' corner because it hasn't been good. So can we get to 21,000 subscribers before Saints versus Patriots kicking off at noon Central Time this Sunday? We're currently at 20,767, just under 350 away. So or 250 away, actually. So help me out, lock me in, subscribe today, join our squad, and don't miss any content. All right, so overreaction number one. You got the preface right there. It was a little bit of a teaser. Fire Pete Carmichael right this second. If yesterday was an away game, I would have said leave him on the tarmac. Lock him in a locker, throw the key away, turn around, and never look back. Because, oh my God, it was atrocious. And the offense as a whole has not been good. I mean, look at this. This is the offensive rankings for New Orleans thus far. And this right here is unacceptable when you have the weapons that you do in New Orleans. Points per game, you're not even averaging 16 points per game. You know who your highest scoring player is right now? It's your rookie kicker. That's a UDFA, Blake Grupe. He's leading the points for New Orleans Saints right now. That's disgusting. Rushing yards per game, not even 100. Passing yards per game, 197.8. I mean, your third down conversion percentage, 38.3. You're not even oh my God, this offense is terrible. It is so bad. It is horrible. And I'm not going to sit here and play I bet the LSU football team could beat the New Orleans Saints. I'm not going to play that stupid game because it always pisses me off even more. But my point is, there is way too much offensive talent to be this bad. It's a coaching issue. When you have players that can put up the production and can make the impact that they do, like an Alvin Kamara, a Taysom Hill, Chris Olave, Michael Thomas. I mean, I could just go on and on and on. It is a coaching issue, whether it's the play calling, whether it's not making adjustments at halftime, whether it's just saying, hey, cut the frickin' penalties out. None of that is a sole issue for the players. All of that falls on the coaching or the head coach and the offensive coordinator, in this case, falls on their shoulders. So here's some offensive coordinator candidates. I can't believe we're already doing this. We're at week 5 and we're already playing this game of, hey, who can we replace him with? But honestly, I was excited to look into this. You can go get Joe Brady, the quarterback coach of the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen's pretty good, I'd say. He's been pretty good over the last few years. Why don't you go get Joe Brady? What about Frank Smith? He's the offensive coordinator for Miami. Who anyone remember what they do against Sean Payton's Broncos? 70 points, is that right? Yeah, he puts up a lot of freaking points, but he doesn't even call plays for Miami. So he might want to be able to explore that option of being a play caller. New Orleans, I think, could be a great spot. Bobby Slowick, he has got the Texans offense firing on all cylinders. DeMeco Ryans is a defensive-minded head coach, and he has been stellar for the Texans offense. And not to mention, C.J. Stroud's development has been incredible. No interceptions on the year, 6 touchdowns. Bobby Slowick would be interesting. Matt Nagy, he's currently the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs. Had a bad stint as the head coach for the Chicago Bears, but Chiefs offense is always pretty solid. How much of that is Andy Reid? How much of that is Patrick Mahomes? How much of that is the offensive play call? That's kind of the weird thing around Nagy. But Hank Fraley, I mean, this guy is a great offensive line coach. And I think that the NFL is trending in the direction where offensive line coaches are going to be more and more valued. And here's what Dennis Allen had to say yesterday in his press conference when it in terms of what are you going to do with what are we going to do here with Pete Carmichael? He said, "Yeah, I'm not going to go there. We'll go and we'll look and see what we could have done better. All of us, the coaches and the players. And then we'll just go from there." And I thought it was a much better this game. Here's my thing. It wasn't much better. It's the lowest scoring game you've had all season. It was atrocious. And I understand being like, we're not going to talk about whether or not we're canning him or we're going to move on. Like, I understand that right after right after the game in the press conference, you got to be smart. You can't be an idiot. But if you want to stay internal, what about this guy, Ronald Curry? He called some plays for you in the preseason. He looked good in the preseason. The offense actually looked like they knew what they were doing out there. Why not give it a shot? Everyone has been talking about how good of a coach Ronald Curry has been, so give him a chance. It's not working with Pete. You had, 10, 15, 16 years under Sean Payton and Drew Brees, and you didn't learn a damn thing. Change it up. I'm not going to sit here all season and just watch this offense be bad because that will drive me through the roof. Go check out other options, whether it's internal, whether it's external, but something has to get done, whether it's this season or in the offseason. You can't have Pete Carmichael back next year. But I want you to be honest with me, Saints fans. What do you think? What should they do with Pete Carmichael? Should New Orleans fire him or keep him? Type F for fire, type K for keep, and let me know because I think that he should be gone. I don't think he should even get the opportunity to come back with New Orleans next year. It's bad. It's done. Let's finish this experiment and let's move on. Overreaction number 2. We talked Pete Carmichael. Good God, let's talk head coach because this experiment is not working. And I will say this before we move up to my next point. I do think it's unfortunate that it's not working. Dennis Allen is a defensive-minded head coach. He's a defensive genius. He is a great head coach or a great defensive coordinator. That's what he is, though. He's a coordinator, not a head coach. He's not a leader. He's not going to be the guy who ultimately takes your team to be a successful, unit. 9-12 as the Saints head coach thus far. 17-40 all time. That's not what you do as a head coach if you're successful and if you're a good head coach. I'm sorry, but it's not what happens. Wins mean something in this league. And it's up to Dennis Allen to make the necessary changes that it's going to take in order to be a smart head or in order to win. It's going to be it falls on Dennis Allen's shoulders to make those changes. I understand, again, like I said, you don't have to say at the post-game press conference minutes after the game, say, hey, yeah, we're going to move on from play caller. Evaluate it, make something happen, do what you need to do, go through the process, but you got to make something happen here. And if you want to move on from Dennis Allen, I'm not going to complain. But here's some 5 guys that you could go and get. Brian Johnson. He's the Eagles offensive coordinator. Still, Eagles offense is great still. He's the first year under that in Philadelphia, so I would imagine they want to keep him around. But hey, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles are undefeated. You know what the Saints aren't? Undefeated. Aaron Glenn, he has coaching and playing experience with New Orleans. He's the Lions defensive coordinator. He has that Lions defense looking stellar. I would not mind. And you can see I put 2 defensive coaches here in case you wanted to still stick with a defensive-minded guy. Press Taylor, he's young. He is smart. He has what it takes to be a great coach. He's doing some awesome things. He's a brother of Zach Taylor, the Bengals head coach. He's done some great things with Trevor Lawrence. He could be another intriguing option for New Orleans. Jeff Ulbrich, he's the defensive coordinator for the Jets. Look how good their defense is. They held Patrick Mahomes to less than 30 points yesterday. His team has been consistently one of the best defenses in the league. I don't know why you wouldn't even make a call there. And then Ken Dorsey, the Bills offensive coordinator. The Bills know how to win. They know how to win in a lot of different ways, and they know how to get creative and make adjustments. My point is here, you can't keep moving with what you got. And hear me out. What about John Gruden? We joked about it at first. I'm dead ass serious right now. What about John Gruden? Because you know who your quarterback is? Derek Carr. And you know what happened in Derek Carr's best season? You know who his head coach was? Wasn't Dennis Allen. What sure as hell wasn't Josh McDaniels. It was John Gruden. Look at the stats. The numbers do not lie. Derek Carr with John Gruden put up insane numbers. 90 touchdowns, 41 interceptions, 17,000 yards. Sure, without Gruden, he had more yards, more touchdowns, more interceptions. All of that is higher, but he had more time without Gruden. The completion percentage, 7 points almost, or 7 whole points higher than when he did not, or when he had John Gruden. Excuse me. And then the yards per game, 261.7 versus 236.8. My point is, John Gruden might actually be a good option. I understand that people don't like him. I understand that he sends some bad emails. I understand that the guy might be a scumbag. But here at the end of the day, I like to win. And you know what keeps people quiet? Winning. You know what people do when they're winning? They don't complain. I'm just saying. I'm not going to sit here and advocate for hiring a scumbag and a guy who might be, a bad person, might say some bad things. But what I will say is, I like to win. And I'm sure you sit on the couch like to win too. And I'm sure you're sitting here thinking, what is this just YouTube jackass saying hiring John Gruden for? I like to win. That's what I'm saying. I like to frickin' win. And John Gruden can win games. So let me know. Shout him out. Who do you want to be the Saints head coach next season? Do you want it to still be Dennis Allen? Do you want it to be one of the guys I listed? Want it to be John Gruden? That'd be pretty crazy. Let me know in the comments section because I'm very excited to see what the Who Dat Nation has to say here. And coming up next, is a rebuild coming? Are we in the midst of tearing everything down? Are we in the early stages of, oh my God, blow it up, this team is done for? I'm going to get to that here in just a second. But first, I want to give a very special shout out to our sponsor today, Game Time. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And I've been using the Game Time app for a while. It's my go-to ticketing app for sporting events, concerts, and comedy shows. This year alone, I've been able to go see Grateful Dead & Co., the Red Clay Strays, and I got tickets to the Dallas Stars and Zach Bryan just with Game Time. It's awesome. I absolutely love the app. Don't miss out on a once-in-a-lifetime experience by using Game Time to get you the best deals on last-second tickets. So you can see right here how the Game Time app works. It's so user-friendly, guys. You can literally look at, all right, I want the row, I want the section. You can filter by how much you want to spend. You can go a map look. You can look at your seats. But then you can also go down the schedule. And you can pick, all right, I want this game, and that game right there. And if you want to get tickets to it, there you go. It makes it so easy. And the best part about it is whenever you pick your ticket, you can kind of move your phone around like this and be like, all right, what is my view? Is there a pillar in my way? Am I going to have a guy with a sign in the way? Is the scoreboard going to be right there? You can see exactly where you're going to be sitting. And if you use code SAINTSCHAT, you get $20 off. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code SAINTSCHAT for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code SAINTSCHAT for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, so overreaction number 3. The franchise has headed into a very dark place. Rebuild might be in the future. So when you look at what the current issues are with New Orleans, I'm not really excited going into this offseason. I'm a little nervous. I'm not going to lie. Because you have a really bad coaching staff. You don't have an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator, and a head coach that know how and want to win. They just can't. They can't do it. And maybe saying they don't want to win is not fair, but they can't. They cannot win. You have an aging roster. I'm sorry, Michael Thomas ain't getting any younger. Cameron Jordan ain't getting any younger. Tyrann Mathieu, he's getting up there in age too. You have a lot of players. Alvin Kamara, not to mention Taysom Hill. I mean, you got guys who you're in the back end of their career, or in the back half of their career, or in the end of their prime. Marshawn Lattimore, he still looked great, but he's not going to look great forever. And then the other thing that pisses me off about this team, not only are they bad, but they're boring. Like, it's not even like we can keep things interesting. We can't. It's not like, oh my God, you're going to see Chris Olave go for 100 yards though. Like, this team sucks, but hey, at least we get to see Olave catch a touchdown and go for 100 yards every game. Or hey, at least we get to see Mike Thomas be the old MT. Like, that's not even what we get to do here. And then in 2024, the cap space, it's bad. And trust me, I'm the first one to sit here and advocate for F you, Nick Wright, keep kicking the can down the way. Like, I'm all in on that. But it just feels like the dysfunction is just way too much for the New Orleans right now. And if major changes do not happen soon, I think that the New Orleans Saints could look to blow it up. And if you ask me, that doesn't fix anything immediately. That's why I hate the tanking conversation, because you don't get an overnight fix. Tanking is something that it takes a year, 2, 3, 4 years to truly get things moving. I mean, Sure, you can go and draft a quarterback in the first or second round in the next couple of years, but at the end of the day, I don't think that's going to be something that, or I do think that that's something that the Saints should at least explore, but I don't think that that's going to be something that ultimately leads to 11, 12 wins next season. It's just not going to happen. And if you ask me, why is this an overreaction? Or excuse me, if you ask me, I think that the best option is for Dennis Allen to replace the play caller with, an internal candidate right now, because Pete Carmichael isn't doing it. So if you ask me, I want the Saints to go and replace Pete Carmichael with Ronald Curry as a play caller. And then on top of that, I think you need a new offensive coordinator no matter what. You're not going to fix anything right now, like with a new coach. Even if you do say, oh my God, what's crazy? Like, the coordinators aren't moving around in the middle of the season. This is going to be an off-season thing. So right now, if you want to win, you kind of see where I'm going with this. Like, you got to work with what you got. You have to play the cards you're dealt, and the Saints aren't playing them well whatsoever. Overreaction number 4, and my last overreaction of the day. I think the coaches are losing the locker room. And I will sit here and say a lot of those things that I've said, I think actually are pretty true. This truly is an overreaction. But I will sit here, and I'm going to bring up a point about Chris Olave here. I'm not sure Chris Olave was really happy yesterday. He did not look like he was having a good time playing football yesterday. He looked pissed. I mean, look at this picture. He looks really upset with how things shook out yesterday. And the stats, they weren't good. 6 targets, 1 reception, 4 yards. Not good. Like, he looks mad. He averaged season average 100.3 yards per carry, or per catch. Excuse me, yards per game, but 0 yesterday. And then he only had 4 yards at the end to finish the game. That's terrible. But I will sit here and say this. I think that it could be, or it could fall on the shoulders for a guy like Alvin Kamara to step it up. Derek Carr's taking a lot of accountability. Thanks, Derek. But you know what wins is having conversations. And that's exactly what Alvin Kamara said yesterday in the postgame in the locker room. Kamara on the loss, he said that we got to have some conversations about something because I don't like losing. And I agree. I don't like losing either. He looked pissed. If you saw the video, just didn't look like he was a happy camper. He looked like he was trying to just get out of the locker room and be done. I was not happy with yesterday. I think all of us Saints fans can sit here and agree no one was happy with it. But the question that I have is, why is this an overreaction and as a whole? Because there are certain players and there are people who are still advocating for some success for the team this year. Michael Thomas yesterday on Instagram, he posted this picture, and he said, "We ain't joining no winning teams. We grinding until the team wins." So, here's the picture. You can call me later. It's grind mode. That's what he tweeted out with this picture. I think that this is a great thing for the Saints to have. It's a great mentality. You got to get back to work. Like, there's nothing you can do right now to ultimately fix this. Even if you fire Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael today, it's not going to change everything for the long term. Cam Jordan also adding this. Laid an egg. Got to turn the page. Can't wait for tomorrow to break down the film and improve ASAP. The 24 rule, which, of course, the 24-hour rule. You get 24 hours to be mad. You get 24 hours to think about it and be pissed off. Then you have to move on to the next week. So we're still in that 24-hour period, so I'm still going to be a little pissed off for the next about 20, 30 minutes. But what say you? What's your panic level right now with the New Orleans Saints? Scale it from 1 to 100. 100 meaning I am shitting my pants. I'm scared. 1, nothing to worry about. We're all fine. It's okay. I'm personally sitting at about a 78. Not quite ready to say an 80, but I'm a little nervous. I'm not going to lie. You got some games that should be very winnable. You've had some games that should be winnable, and you haven't won them yet. So, a little worried. But, guys, if you want to interact with me, if you want to get more Saints coverage in between these videos, I encourage you to hit me up on Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram and TikTok. My @ is the same on all 3 platforms, @TraceGirouard48. My links will be in the comment section description of this video, so feel free to hit me up. As always, Saints fans, y'all stay golden. Even if the season sucks, we're still going to power through together. We'll see you next time.